Bree, my wonderful little witch. What are we talking about tonight?
We're going to get a little spooky, throw you guys off here. We're going to talk about some ghosty shit.
Ooh, ghosty ghosts?
Tonight, we are your ghost hosts.
Ooh, I like that. Welcome to Toddy Wabba.
Dishing out souls.
Let's start off by talking about maybe some personal experiences. Have you ever encountered a ghost?
I can only think of one strange experience that I had, and I'm not sure. I guess I never really categorized it as a ghost experience because I never saw anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, take it from the top.
Oh, wow. So this is when I was about 16 years old. I was deep into like the Christian life, and I had what I would consider a mentor who was much older than me. She kind of took me under her wing and wanted to take me to her church. And I think this was in Santa Cruz. And she was so excited. And she's been going to this church for like over 10 years. I did consider her like an angelic person. So she was just like as pure as you could get. So if she was really excited about it, told me how wonderful this church was, and so I was really excited. But there was no one there when we went. I don't remember what the purpose was, but she had keys. I think she did like music for there. So she might have just been taking me for her to like stop in and grab something or leave something and just show me around. It was an older church, very old. Like you could close your eyes and imagine just a white old church, you know, with like the pointed tops. I wasn't expecting that. And on the side had a little bit of a garden area, but it was on a decent sized land. Probably within the first couple minutes that I was there, I could only describe it as an overwhelming fear, like dread. And it wasn't even like something, it was just like something like slammed at me. And I felt like I had something like really dark all around me. Whatever it was did not want me there. Really, really intense. Like I started to feel like knots in my stomach. I felt like I was being choked, like I couldn't breathe. I was getting dizzy. And I kept walking around as she's just really happy showing me around this church. And then I started feeling like a really sad presence there. And then for some reason, I had an instant knowing something really tragic happened there, and there were either a body or multiple bodies that were buried at the church in the garden. And it was, I can't even describe it. Like, even just saying that, it probably just sounds like whatever, but it was the most intense feeling I've ever had. And it was so intense that I told her that my mom had texted me that I needed to go home. And I ran out of the church and I waited for her in the car. And at the time, I didn't say anything because, one, she had been going there forever. She never noticed anything wrong. And I was also afraid that if I told her what I felt, she would probably just say that I was being attacked by demons trying to keep me away from Jesus. Mm-hmm. I know that's what she would have said.
That's exactly what I was thinking in my head.
Yeah, I knew that's what she was going to say. But for some reason, it was like an instant knowing that there was something dark there and that there was a murder and people or someone died and they were buried in the garden area.
Well, you know, what it sounds like to me is it sounds like, you know, you're definitely an empath, and we know that. And it sounds like maybe this was one of your first real experiences with dealing with and feeling with those kind of emotions in a place. And maybe there's a possibility that a little bit of that frightened you maybe pushed down a little bit some of your maybe psychic abilities, because maybe at the time it's not something you can handle, because that's what it sounds like to me. Like when you watch a lot of these like ghost shows, and don't get me wrong, some of them are like very full of shit. But you always see with the psychics who come in there and they walk in there and they're like, oh no, there's dead people here, guys. You know, that's what it sounds like to me as your experience.
It was horrible.
It was like the church was talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like there was two different things talking to me. I felt like there was something so strong that was just like, get the hell out and I'm making you sick. Like I was physically feeling very sick.
Which is, again, something that happens to a lot of these psychics who, when they go into these places.
And then feeling like a very sad, like something very sad. And it was hard because I couldn't tell her because I just knew I couldn't. And then I felt like, am I just going crazy? Because how do I sense this so overwhelmingly? And then someone else that's here all the time, she has her own keys. She's just like, dee-dee-dee all the time. Has no idea about that. So I don't know if that's really a ghost experience. Like I said, I didn't see anything. It was just more like an instant knowing and feeling and like, get the fuck out.
I do not want you here. I would definitely think it's a psychic experience for sure. Now, here's my question to you. If that was a psychic ability and it was pushed down, would you ever have any interest of bringing it back up and dealing with those kind of things?
Now, yeah.
Now you're like, bring it on.
Yeah. At the time, I was very, very, very scared. And I don't know if it's because I feel like I can control my own energetic field better. And I've like become more knowledgeable in that I feel like I could handle it. But also because I've been watching so many fucking ghost shows lately. And I'm like, I want to go. Yeah. I'm just like, I want to see what happens.
So you believe ghosts are real?
Yes.
Okay. I do too.
Me too.
I've had ghost experiences my whole life.
Tell me a good one.
I'll tell you several short ones. When I lived up in Washington, there was a house that my mom had bought, and I stayed in one of the rooms, and there was a man who would stand outside of my window, but you would only ever see his shoulders and his head and his hat. And I named him Earl because, I'm a weirdo and I like to name things. But the way my window was is in order for where his silhouette to sit at, he would legitimately have to be like...
standing on a box.
Yes.
Okay, I remember this.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Like he would have to be standing like on top of something in order to be standing that high. And I would always, where my bed was up against that wall where the window was. And I would always have to face the other direction to sleep because I was just like, I was fucking terrified of seeing it. And I remember telling them about it all the time and they just never believed me. And then one night I told them that I heard noises out there in addition to seeing what I saw and that it went up higher than I had ever seen it before. And the next day they went out there and something or someone pulled an entire stump out of the ground and dragged it to underneath my window, and it was positioned there, like somebody moved it to stand on top of it. Even if it was a normal human being, like my mom's boyfriend at the time stood on top of it, you barely see the top of his head. So it still wasn't like a normal-sized person, but definitely Earl was taller that night when I saw him.
That's crazy.
In that same house, my mom had moved out and me and my brother were living there only. I was in my room one night and it sounded like, the best way to describe it is like a bathtub and water fell through the ceiling in the living room. But it wasn't a 2-story home. And then I went out there and like the faucets in the kitchen were turned on.
Oh, fuck no.
Yes. And there was just, anytime I was there was this back door and like a window that went over the sink that faced the backyard. I could not look through it if it was dark out there. I couldn't. There was something that would tell me like, don't look because you're going to see something that you don't want to see. And so that house was very interesting to me. And I've also, a story I've told you before is when I was working at the Home Owners Association. And the psychic called me on the phone and told me about how my grandpa Ray always protects me inside of cars. You guys know a few years ago we were in our accident and,
It was just last year.
Was it last year?
Yes,
oh,
it was the 26th. It was Friday.
Oh, okay. Well.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. But that crash, I told Brie after we were done that it felt like someone was sitting on top of me because I never moved from the position I was in. And it was a hard impact and I never had any whiplash. There was no seatbelt marks on me. And so it's always just weird instances of that. I've even had, my Aunt Amy, who passed away in a bathroom, always visits me in bathrooms. Like I can see her in the mirror. It's the creepiest shit. Like I'll be like peeing and then I just like look in the mirror and there's like my Aunt Amy like waving to me and I'm like, that's not awkward.
That's very awkward.
So awkward. Or like, I'll be listening to like a radio station that only plays rap music and then all of a sudden Phil Collins will come on because that was mine and her song. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. This is not the appropriate radio station.
That's exactly how I think your loved ones connect with you in many ways and people push that aside is through songs. Sometimes it's just hearing something, it reminds you of them. I think a lot of the time they're using that as an outlet to connect with you. And there's just the whole like ghost realm is just so vast. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I've never seen any apparitions or anything like that.
I have, yeah.
That to me is very scary. One thing that I found was really interesting that I feel like other people should know is really the difference of actual haunting.
Like an intelligent or something that repeats itself?
Yes, like that, or if there's something that's active in your house. And I think a lot of people just chalk it up to like, oh, there's like ghosts interacting in my house. But it's really just that stagnant energy of something that's happened over and over and over again. So it's imprinted into time, going over and over and over again, like playing a tape. But there's no actual conscious entity that is there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what an imprint haunting is. It's an event that happens, something, let's say someone was murdered and pushed down a set of stairs. Well, now that same kind of energy that happened then is constantly repeating itself over and over again. So you can talk to it, you can wave to it. It doesn't look at you. It doesn't do anything. It's the same thing every time. A lot of times it happens at the exact same time every time. Like the same, like exactly at the stroke of midnight, you hear like a ball going down the stairs. And so those are not intelligent hauntings. That goes to show that when we talk about how like when we're energy and our energy leaves us, how it never stops. I think that this is a manifestation of that energy that maybe didn't make it to the etheric plane up there, but was for some reason trapped here in our, 3D world, and it's like stuck on a loop because it can't get out. It's like keeps hitting the glass ceiling over and over and over again.
Yeah, or just it's like torn through some type of dimension, and so that energy is just stuck on replay. That's really good for people to know. I've heard so many people say, oh, my house, is haunted. I always hear footsteps walking up my house or whatever, or my window shade's always open every morning. And sometimes it's like, well, if that's the only thing that's happening, that's not necessarily an active ghost. That's just an imprint there. Mm-hmm. And that should make you feel better too, because then you're just like, okay, it's just that type of stagnant energy. It'll just be going there forever. Rather than you going into a place where something of great emotional type of trauma, a death, something happened there that keeps a spirit there that feels like they can't leave and they're there for some reason, or maybe they have unfinished business or they're confused about their death from that person actually being there. That is a consciousness and it can interact with you. That's a whole different ballgame.
Well, and I think you hear a lot more about the negative versions of that than you do the positive versions. And here's where it gets a little weird and iffy to me. I feel like when people talk about ghosts and they talk about the positive reactions, like, oh, I felt the ghost of my mom and she laid her hand on my cheek. Usually, and not always, but usually they somehow more link that into like, oh, it was their angel, right? But then when you're talking about the negative side where they're like burning Bibles in your hallway, which is a true story I've heard, flipping crosses upside down, throwing things around the house and things like that.
That sounds demonic.
It sounds demonic. But also at the same time, a lot of people do assume that they're ghosts.
Yeah.
And so you have this weird crossover of all these different areas where I think the only thing that we can call them conclusively together, other than like the paranormal, would be like interdimensional beings.
That can be its own category, though.
Really?
Yes. You can have earthbound spirits,
but
which are your typical ghosts.
But then but are they not traveling through interdimensions then?
They're stuck. They might be in one technically in between,
like a limbo-ish area.
Yes, but they're earth. Then you can have an actual interdimensional that's a totally different unearthly being that's coming in and out of your space.
See,
using that portal, whatever portal is there for whatever reason, they can come in and out.
See, because I see ghosts as being fourth dimensional beings, and because we're still in the third dimension, they're there so we can like hear them and stuff, and sometimes we can catch glimpses of them, but we have no full understanding because we're not in the fourth dimension.
But they're earthbound. I think of it as like when you die, like you were saying, your body goes away, but your consciousness is still there. So it's still earthbound. It's just that you can no longer see the body, the consciousness that's present. That's why they're stuck here. They need help going to the other side. That's why you can do things like those rescue mediumship stuff if they want to go to the other side.
So here's a question I have for you. If we found like a real serious psychic and did like a crazy seance or something like that, like your birthday's coming up. What I've decided is the older we get, we're less about getting material things and more about having cool experiences. So like, what would you think if like for your birthday, we set up like a crazy seance in like some weird like, voodoo witch's house? And she's like, come, my pretties, we're going to arrange these chicken bones.
But see, that's the difference, though. That would the seance would be like trying to contact something in particular. That could also be like summoning something dark.
Oh, for sure. But that's what I'm asking, though. Like whether...
I don't want to summon something dark.
But here's the thing. But I think when we're talking about walking between that veil line, though, there's always going to be that possibility of something dark happening. And so if you're interested in it, you have to, at some point, have to understand that there's a risk that something dark could come out and you have to deal with those consequences.
Right.
You can't contact ghosts but not think that, hey, I might also not, contact demons or something. Like they're all behind that very thin veil. There's no guaranteed way for you to only pull out good. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I would say instead of a seance where I feel like is purposely conjuring something or trying to contact something, I feel like I would rather just go to a highly haunted house. I think I would even be more comfortable walking into a house that I know is full of negative,
Energy?
bloodthirsty energy.
Like, are you saying that we should go back to that church for your birthday and break in at night?
Oh, God, the breaking in.
And go get some vibes. Yeah, that's because, like, I doubt we could wander up to the Christians like, hey, guys, so we think you have ghosts in here.
Yeah. Just so you know, someone was murdered and someone or multiple people are buried right here.
So we were wondering
where
if we
you
could
plant your poppies.
Yeah, we just want to know if we can hang out here at night and just, like, listen for things.
Just hanging. We're just chilling.
Yeah, I mean, we could try.
There's got to be a better place. I wish we had one of those crazy houses around here where something, like, nuts happened. Because the Winchester Mystery House, I don't buy.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I would go do a flashlight tour for fun, but I don't really buy into that story. She just sounds like she has some type of mental illness.
Although, but that's when we're talking about
that
the paranormal.
Absolutely ties in.
Everyone throws that stuff out there.
But
like
that is a possibility.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like, poltergeist, a lot of people don't know that's actually, like, some crazy psychic type of, like, burst of energy that you're creating yourself.
Yeah.
So you're manifesting crazy shit to happen and you're really scared, so it feeds off of that. Light bulbs are twitching, something's thrown across the room, music starts going off on your phone, something crazy like that, and you think there's ghosts in your house, but it's really just you and you're making all that happen. And then once you find that out, all that shit stops. There's a lot of stuff that we contribute to what we're seeing. But we're powerful people.
I think that you secretly are psychic and can tap in to dead people, and I think that it terrifies you and that you can't use it, and all I want to do is get you in a room with, like, a bunch of white candles, like...
To be honest, like I said,
and just, like,
I'm
shut
excited.
everything down.
Yeah.
And just, like, let it happen and, like, be there to guide you, like a good, like, drug trip guider. Like, come with me to the graveyard.
You'll be the sober one.
Yeah. I'm like, come on this way. The light's over here. It's fine.
The babysitter.
We'll get through it. Yeah, because I have learned that I am, like, not really afraid of too much. Like, the only thing that ever makes me scream are spiders. I went to a haunted house, a few of them, when I was in Vegas with my mom. And they made me go in front, and I just like, stood there, like, someone would jump out, and I'd be like...
The last one we went to, remember last year, we weren't scared
No,
either.
we weren't scared at all. We just walked through it. There was, like, maybe one part where, like, we were jump scared or something. For the most part, though, it was whatever. But everyone I was with was fucking terrified. And I'm just, like, walking through it, like, literally a guy, like, yelled at me, and I had the camera on him, and I was like, that's cool. And he was like... and, like, kept going. Like,
frustrated.
yeah.
Like, fuck my job.
Because I'm just like, it's not... I'm not... things don't scare me easily. So I think that if me and you... really hunkered down somewhere. And like I said, white candles.
Well, I think it really scared me because that was the only experience like that. I didn't know what any of that was. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have any knowledge about any of that sort of thing. What it was, anything. And just the overall sense of everything, like it overcoming me and the feeling of it and the suffocating part, that was just really scary. But I don't know. Maybe I would be okay. I don't know. I mean, there's no other way but to try. Obviously, that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well over 10 years ago. I'm going to be 29 next month. So I've aged.
Like fine wine.
So maybe, now that I'm more equipped, we could go into a situation. We could start small, go into, like, little haunted places and see... You're like, no, I just want to jump straight in.
So I have a suggestion for you. And, okay, so, we go down to L.A., usually about twice a year. What I'm thinking is maybe next time let's say we're going to Contact next year, right? Let's say we just take an extra day or two off of work because fuck it. Why not? We're already taking like 5 days off. Might as well take 7. And let's say instead of we'll fly down, but we'll fly down to the Long Beach area and we'll go stay a night in the Queen Mary, which is notoriously haunted.
Man, see, that's the thing.
And
like,
then
staying the night.
Oh, because it's a hotel.
I know, but staying the night somewhere that's haunted, that scares me.
Here's
I have enough issues.
But here's the thing. But it's a room with me, you, and Josh in it. Like, it's not like you're alone somewhere by yourself. I've seen some crazy videos of some shit that happens in there. One of the rooms, everything gets turned upside down in.
Oh, my God.
So that'll be our plan, you guys, next year.
Honest to everything good. Swear no bullshit, no exaggerating. I would say 7 out of 10 places that I ever stay in a hotel.
Haunted?
always have a really hard time sleeping because I always feel like things are like in my ear, like trying to talk, or there's something weird going on. I've started, I think like the last few times I've gone and stayed places, I just like bring some sage or like the incense that's like matches to just like try to clear. And every time I feel like I stay up all night and I'm going crazy. And then I wake up the next morning thinking like, why are you hallucinating on some shit? But it always feels like that every time I stay in a hotel.
It sounds like you need to talk with the Long Island medium.
No, because like I'm good the rest of my days.
Because I legit think that you're actually like a psychic medium and you're just suppressing it hardcore because you're terrified.
You know what happens to people that full blown go all out and they just open the gates of all their senses?
That's what I want you to do.
And then they're like, can you be quiet? Because I have this little girl in my ear right now that's just like chatting about her death.
First of all, you could quit your job and you could be like Long Island medium and just like stop people in the grocery store and be like, ma'am, I'm so sorry to bother you, but like, did you have a death in your family?
Exactly. They're like, well, maybe I'm 5th generation, so...
Okay, you guys let us know in our comments on our social media and our email and stuff. Tell us if you think that Brie is, like, secretly psychic and should just let the floodgates open. Like, we should...
No, I think we're all
We should have your dark baptism of psychicness.
Give us
you know? Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. And you could just let the ghosts in, man. How fun would that be? We'll start a whole nother podcast, That Girl and That Psychic, and it'll just be me asking you weird questions. And, like, me making fun of ghosts and you being like, Jamie, it doesn't like that.
Well, actually, since you're provoking it, it'll just be like, who lit the black flame candle?
Right,
it'll
exactly.
Be you.
That's fine.
And
they can follow me home. I have no problem with that.
I mean, let's just find some crazy haunted place and let's just start there.
We're the Queen Mary when we go to Contact next year.
I can't do that. Like, we had to tiptoe into, like, I want to,
She's like, let's go to a haunted place, but not spend the night.
No, actually, like if we wanted to start local, we would go to San Juan where we did that ghost tour last year.
Yeah.
Because remember, we're like, oh, this is the haunted room. I wrote it down in my notes.
We can still have it. There, yeah.
I still have the hotel and the room.
We'll do that then. We'll start there.
Oh.
Well, isn't the schoolhouse back here haunted too in Morgan Hill?
I don't think so. I think that's just BS. No.
Okay.
I mean, we could try, but.
I mean, why not?
Just like.
Okay, so here's my question
lot.
for you. If we're gonna go hunt for ghosts. I already know that you won't let me bring a Ouija board. So what tools would we bring with us if we were hunting for ghosts together?
Fucking crystals, candles,
some sage. That just sounds like you're trying to avoid the ghosts.
Holy water.
Sounds like you're trying to avoid the ghosts when we're trying to interact with them. So what? I don't think they're gonna like the sage. They're gonna be like, this bitch.
No, like, well, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
You're like. When I nod my head, yes, but you want us to know what do you mean?
Exactly. That's exactly what they would be doing. I mean...
It sounds like you want a ghost hunt, but not find any ghosts.
Okay, well... I mean, like, we'll just keep one crystal in the pocket or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
I want to find the ghost. I just don't want to be, like,
confronted?
No, I don't know what it is. Then I take it back. None of that. I guess I just want to be, like, protected from, like, evil things or something. But I also want to see evil things.
Just to see what it looks like?
We could talk about that in our next topic that we have coming up.
Yeah, the next episode is a little bit dark.
I kind of feel like I want trouble, but then I'm afraid of trouble. But then I'm like, I want to seek the trouble.
See, and I'm like living in the trouble. And I'm like, when's it going to stop?
Maybe if we bring, like, some tater tots with us, I'll have comfort food.
We all know that potatoes make everything better.
And, like, also, a cocktail and, like, a little shaker.
Side note, Burger King brought cheesy tots back, and they're only $1.
I've never tried them.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
I don't know.
They're cheesy tots. They're tater tots filled with cheese.
Well, like, weird cheese like that, like, milk, I don't know. Nacho cheese stuff always throws me off.
I don't think it's nacho cheese in it. It's like melty cheese.
But cheese is nacho cheese?
It's nacho cheese. But it's very good. So speaking of potatoes, everyone go to Burger King for Halloween potatoes.
Halloween snacks after a bunch of candy.
We're not sponsored by Burger King, but if you want us to be, let a bitch know.
Yep, absolutely. Forgot to mention that when I go Bigfoot hunting, I'm really looking for ghosts.
Oh, okay. So you're Bigfoot / ghost hunting.
Yes, because I did a bunch of research on the land, and I guarantee that shit is haunted as fuck.
Can you please bring a white candle so you stay protected?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I didn't go buy any. I'll stop at the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get like a white, like those like the candelabra ones.
You
know,
want
the
me
big
to
tall
search,
ones.
but
you said you want to be protected. So...
I wasn't gonna do it at night. Actually, my plan was like sometime during the day to like go out in the forest and then like meditate on some shit and then see if I can communicate with anything.
Because one time I did do a Ouija board and I was with my mom, but we lit like nothing but it was very specific, an even amount of white candles around us in a circle, and then we did it. At the time, me and my mom didn't know what the board was saying. It was like spelling out random things, like not words that made sense to us.
Like Tati-waba.
Yeah. Well, and then we were like, whatever, that was a bust, and we never talked about it again. And then like, a few weeks later, my mom's boyfriend at the time was like, okay, so now that that's passed and like we're chill now, I'm gonna tell you guys what happened. And it ended up being the initials of his dead grandpa. But he didn't want to tell us because he thought that we were moving the board, but we weren't. And we had no idea what his grandpa's name was or his grandpa died or like any of that kind of information.
Oh, he was there?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to say, why would his grandpa contact you two? But he was there.
But he was there with us. Yeah, he was doing it too.
Sure.
So it was all three of us, and it was like doing weird things, but he didn't say anything the whole time or for weeks after because he legit thought that it was us who were moving it. But like we didn't know his grandpa's initials or whatever or any of the information. And all the little things that the board did were directly talking to him. And me and my mom at the time didn't know. We were just like laughing along like, oh, okay, it's moving around. So the only thing I know is apparently like white candles and ghosts are good because nothing bad came in. So my only piece of advice I have for you.
Yeah, it was a nice relative. I'm just trying to find out information.
Like what? Like what's on the other side?
I don't know. Maybe is like Bigfoot still there? What's happening and stuff, I know at the reservation they have petroglyphs there and they had Bigfoot all over it. My dad and all the people going, shout out to Chuck Broski.
Chuck.
And all his friends and stuff, they all swear that the area is just highly intense. And, my dad is like, there's some shit I can't describe there. They're very convinced that they bring guns. So this is like just going to be intense. But I know we're going with one of the guys I already told you is there's a cop, there's a pilot from American Airlines, and his wife works at Area 51. So I'm also trying to get information out of all these people.
So I have a few follow-up questions. Number one, do you want to borrow my rifle?
No, I don't know how to shoot a gun.
Okay, well, I could teach you. That's easy. I could show your dad.
I feel like that's bad vibes because it's a land of where lots of native tribes, Native Americans lived.
I'm just saying.
You think a group of arrows wants to see bullets?
I'm just saying you said they bring guns. I was just saying,
Trauma.
I have one for you if you need it.
Hopefully that's just like in case there's a murderer out there. We'll see if the veil's super thin. That's why I was hoping that, you were going to go.
I know. I can't get the weekend off. I know.
I hope Josh pushes through for me, but, Josh can sometimes be like, yo, that's not cool.
Okay, so here's what...
Don't be dabbling with the devil.
Here's things I need from you. I need you to try to document as much as you can document.
I know.
Like,
I'm going to ask Nicole to use her camera.
Yeah, like take a camera, set it up in a corner.
Try to record
some shit.
I wish I had an EVP thing.
I know, that's the next thing. You know what? Christmas list.
Well, thank you guys for listening to our ghost chat.
Chatting about ghosts, nothing too serious. We know we haven't released too much, but we're about to hit you with like some back-to-back episodes. So enjoy yourself.
Ass to ass.
We love you all, and everyone in Mountain View can go fuck themselves. Okay, fuck you, Bobby. Bye.